Good morning. Trying to keep the sun out of the camera. I've got some thoughts that are being sparked in me from a meme I read this morning about mental health, and it was basically saying you can love God and still go for therapy, or you can love God and still take your medications. You can love God and still be depressed. You get my gist. Without making it sound too simplistic, but here's the initial thought that sprang up in me, and that is the word God in our mind holds the connotation of outsourcing our love and energy to another being. That is the universal definition that our mind, our understanding has associated with the word God. God is a separate being that we are supposed to love, and we extend all our psychological, mental, spiritual, and physical energy on loving and pleasing God. And if we can dive deeper into that for a moment, and it is deep, to unravel the psychological barriers and layers behind why we might be depressed even though we love God. It is because psychologically we are depleting our own life force. We are not reserving or conserving any of the life force, the spirit force, for ourselves. Because remember, the word God psychologically means I have to give all my adoration, worship, love, praise, which is all energy, to this God that is external of me, that is not me. Okay, in Christianity we have made that very clear distinction that God is not me. Therefore, I have to export my life force energy to this other definition. And this is an unconscious mechanism. That's why it's so hard to detect. But we are, in giving to this definition of another, we are giving our life force. We are depleting our life force, and it leaves us feeling empty. And this psychological depletion and mental depletion shows up as exhaustion and depression. It does sound counterintuitive, but we need to work through all the subconscious layering of the thou shalt nots, all the things that we were prohibited in being. And a big, big one is, thou shalt not be selfish. That's a big one. That's a big, deep psychological hole where our life force is leaking out of. We have been conditioned to leak energy to everyone except ourselves. So, to recover from depression, we have to take the drastic measure of giving ourselves the permission to feel selfish without feeling guilty and ashamed. It doesn't mean that you're going to turn into a permanently selfish person, but you have to take this measure to refill your tank and plug the hole. Plug the hole that diminishes your self-identity. Plug the hole, the subconscious hole that says, you don't matter as much as anyone else, and you have to look out for the good of everyone else. Well, you won't be doing that if you don't look out for the good in you. You have to make sure your tank is full. And so, like I said, I don't want to make this sound too simplistic. It is soul work. You have to look at all your don't do this, don't do that, don't be that. All the things that we were indoctrinated and trained in from our parents, the social norms. Really look at the social norms. And where in all of those things have you self-abandoned? So I am convinced that our depression comes from self-abandonment and self-alienation. We are at the bottom of the totem pole psychologically, and it's no wonder we feel depressed while we are loving God. Because, like I said in the beginning, the life force is disproportionately distributed, and we keep nothing for ourselves. And this self, I'm not talking about the ego self, but the soul self, the spirit, the I am spirit, which is actually the divine aspect of you, is what should be receiving all the worship and the praise and the energy first. That is giving your first fruits to God when you understand that yourself, your existing self, is God. And that has to receive first attention, first fruits. It has to receive the best of the crop, the best of the energy. And only then can we become the best human that will be benefiting our other selves, the other humans around us. So we have to change our definition of God. That God is not someone external of ourselves, but that God is the I am essence in you. You are that I am essence. And when you realize that, then you can preserve and conserve and grow the life force within yourself, within a closed system. And then it will build up internally in well-being, which will then spill over because their tank is just going to be too full. It's not going to take any effort. But the only energy that you should be using is to tank up yourself, to build up yourself, to give yourself, your I am self, the first fruits. And I would wager that our depression problems will subside, because we are retaining the life force energy instead of leaking it all over the place and leaving ourselves depleted.